Hola y bienvenidos al Flipgrid for Spanish 123. Welcome to your first Flipgrid video. If you have not taken any of my other Spanish classes, this would be your first time doing a Flipgrid video for me. You'll see that it's very, very simple. Of course, I would much rather do a live face-to-face conversation with you all, but I also definitely understand and respect that that's not necessarily possible. So I started using Flipgrids as an alternative to the live synchronous language labs about a year ago. And I know that they have their benefits and their drawbacks as well. So I just like to smile and make the best of it. You'll see that this is really simple. I'm just going to do a real quick review of the grammar concepts you should be going over this week in the modules and in your mind tab assignments. And then there will be a few questions at the end that I will have you answer in your Flipgrid back to me, the video you flip back to me. So we'll do one of these every week. Each video will usually cover 2 topics, but this class kind of goes at a different pace than my other Spanish classes. So it may only be 1 topic, like 1 grammar topic per week. But without further ado, I will go ahead and show you how this works. You should be in chapter 10. Spanish 123 starts in chapter 10. And the first grammar topic that we learn in chapter 10 is the present perfect. The present perfect is what I like to call, it's not what I like to call, it is a compound verb tense. So it's going to require 2 verbs, like a helping verb and then a participle. So we've done this before with the present progressive back in Spanish 121 when you said things like estoy hablando, I am talking. That was a compound verb tense. So present perfect works similarly. We use it to describe what has and has not happened recently. So it is a verb tense that we use to talk about things in the past. In English, it sounds like this. I have eaten, she has studied, we have learned. You can see that it is compound verb tense in English as well. We have the I have, she has, they have, plus the participle of the verb in the past tense, eaten, studied, worked. So that's what it sounds like. In Spanish, it sounds like this. Nosotros hemos comido. We have eaten. Yo no he estudiado mucho. I have not studied much. So here's how we form this present perfect tense. We're going to take the verb haber, which means to have, in this case, to have done something, to have worked, to have studied, to have looked at, to have read. And we conjugate it. So here's how we conjugate the verb haber. Yo he, tú has, él, ella, usted ha, nosotros hemos, vosotros habéis, ellos, ellas, or ustedes han. Notice again, and hopefully you know this by now, but that H in Spanish is silent. He, has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. We put that together with the participle of the verb. So if it's an AR verb, you're going to drop the AR off the end and add ado, like tomado, reservado, hablado, saltado, visitado. If it's an ER verb, you're going to drop the ER off the end and add ido. Same thing with the IR verbs, drop the IR off the end and add ido. So, comido, bebido, escribir is irregular. Aprendido, you can see in my examples down here at the bottom. So, when you want to form the whole thing, the whole present perfect tense, you first conjugate the verb haber for whomever you're talking about, yo, él, ella, usted, nosotros, whatever. And then you make the participle of the verb by dropping the AR, ER, or IR off the end and adding ado or ido. So to say I have eaten, it would be yo he comido. I have eaten. She has spoken. Ella ha hablado. we have learned, nosotros hemos aprendido. So you can see that pretty straightforward, right? It's not too hard. There are some verbs in Spanish that have an irregular past participle. So these verbs that you see on your screen here, you're not going to be able to just drop the AR, ER, or IR off the end and add ado or ido. You just have to, and there's no trick, you just have to memorize these verbs and their past participles. So abrir is abierto. So if I wanted to say I had opened the door, it would be yo he abierto la puerta. Decir is dicho. Yo he dicho que whatever. I had said that. Escribir, to write, like I said, this one's irregular. So yo he escrito, tú has escrito, nosotros hemos escrito. Notice, you guys, that you do not change the participle at all, no matter what, regular or irregular. You never change that part of the verb. Okay, so it's always abierto. If it's I opened, you opened, she opened, we opened, they opened, it does not change. But the participle does not reflect the person or people who have done the verb. Okay, the only part that changes, the only part you really need to conjugate is the haber. It's not the participle. The participle is the same for all forms. Hopefully that makes sense. Hacer is hecho. Morir is muerto. Poner is puesto. Ver visto. And volver vuelto. Okay, so you still use these with the verb haber conjugated, but like I said, they can't follow that because there's always irregulars to every verb formation, conjugation, what have you. So I am going to ask you guys a few questions. And I will have these questions written out next to the video so that you don't have to remember them and you don't have to like write them down when you're watching this Flipgrid. And that'll be for all your Flipgrid videos. But you can see, I don't know, I've spoken for just a few minutes. It's not a really long lecture or lesson. I'm really just kind of trying to review what you should have already watched and studied in the grammar section of the module are the videos, and the textbook has more written information. However you like to learn, I recommend reading and watching the videos. But anyway, so here are the questions you're going to answer in your Flipgrid back to me. ¿Has comido en un restaurante bueno? Y sí, dime cuál. Tell me which one. ¿Has escrito un email importante? ¿Has leído un libro bueno? Y por favor, dime cuál. Dime cuál. ¿Has conocido a una persona famosa? Yo también. Okay, so intersection, time out. I'm super nosy, okay? And I mean that in a good way. You could call me nosy, or you could just go, she really cares about who I am and what kinds of things I'm doing. And it's really the latter. I'm nosy in the sense that I really care about you guys and I want to know what books you're reading, what restaurants you're going to, and have you met a famous person? That's so cool. That's really neat information for me to learn about you. So I always like to joke around and say I'm nosy. It's not like I'm not trying to get up in your business. Just tell me more about you. I like to get to know you. Time in. ¿Has visto una película interesante? That's great information. Dime cuál. Feel free to expand on your answers in your Flipgrid back, okay? If you watched a great movie or read a great book, I want to know. I want to know which ones. ¿Has nadado en el Océano Pacífico? ¿O has hecho algo generoso para alguien que no conoce? That's a good question. Okay, so those are your questions, and I'm going to now move on to the second half of this Flipgrid. So like I said, we're going to cover 2 topics per Flipgrid, usually, not always. This one will have 2 topics. The next grammar topic for chapter 10 are reciprocal actions and pronouns. So this is kind of a funky lesson for me to have to teach, but I'll do my best. It's kind of just a weird thing to try to explain. In Spanish, you express the idea of something happening between 2 people or to each other with these reflexive pronouns. We know the reflexive pronouns. We've been learning about reflexive verbs, verbs that people do to themselves since Spanish 122. So you've seen se, you've seen nos, and if you're from Spain, you've seen os. But when you use those reflexive pronouns with verbs that are not usually reflexive, it means that two people do it to each other, do whatever the verb is to each other. So obviously, this is going to be very specific to verbs that people can do to each other. You look at each other, you hug each other, you kiss each other, you walk towards each other. You know, there's not like a million different ways that you can use this. It's pretty limited. So you'll see there's only a few examples here. My girlfriend and I kiss each other. So instead of saying, because it's my girlfriend and I, this actually makes more sense to me. It makes more sense in Spanish. We kiss each other. In Spanish, you say, mi novia y yo nos besamos. And you use that nos, that reflexive to ourselves. In English, we say each other, but in Spanish, it's actually we to ourselves kiss. It loosely translated. Nos besamos. And you can see that the verb is still conjugated for nosotros because we are both doing the kissing. But who are we kissing? We're not kissing somebody else. I'm not kissing my dog, and my boyfriend's not kissing his mom. No, we're not kissing other people. We are kissing each other. So we're going to use that nos before the verb. So we're both kissing. We're kissing each other. Nos besamos. Juan y Lola look at one another. So now Juan and Lola are looking at each other. I'm not involved. Okay, I'm not Juan. My name's not Lola. They are looking at each other. So we're going to use the reflexive pronoun se and the verb mirar conjugated for ellos. Ellos are doing the looking. They're looking not around. They happen to be looking at each other. So it becomes reflexive because they're doing it to one another. Juan y Lola se miran. El uno al otro in this example, that extra to one another, el uno al otro, is almost like auxiliary. You don't even need it in the sentence. I think it's there just to be extra, put an emphasis on that they're looking at one another and not just staring, like looking around randomly. If this sentence was cut off at Juan y Lola se miran, it would still make perfect sense. Totally understandable. They look at one another. They look at each other. Here, más ejemplos, a few more examples. Juan y María se casaron. This sentence switched tenses on us. This is in the past tense, but they still married one another. They still got married to each other. So instead of saying Juan y María se casan, they are marrying right now each other. Juan y María se casaron. They got married to each other, or they married one another. Either translation is good. Mi familia y yo nos ayudamos en la casa. Qué bueno, qué bonito. My family and I help each other out. But because I am included in this sentence, in this statement, we're going to use the reflexive pronoun nos for we. My family and I, we all help. Nosotros ayudamos. Notice that verb is conjugated for nosotros because we're all helping. Who are we helping? We're helping us. We're helping ourselves. We're helping each other en la casa. So my family and I help each other at home. El perro y el gato se pelean constantemente. There's a typo in that. It should be constantly, not constantemente. Constantemente. El perro y el gato. They fight constantly. Se pelean. So pelear, the verb, conjugated for ellos, the cat and the dog. They fight with each other. Okay. Hopefully you get it. I'm just going to stop explaining now. There is a website here if you want to go and get a little bit more practice with that. Here are, and there's just a few questions you're going to answer in your flip back. By the way, you guys, you can make just one flip with both sets of questions. So start off by answering me the present perfect questions and then go right into these. Okay, you don't need to make two videos. That's too much work. ¿Tú y tus amigos se mandan muchos textos? So before I just send you off to go answer this question, let me quickly review how I would like you to answer this. So it's asking, do you y tus amigos, you and your friends, Se mandan muchos textos. Do you all, so it's conjugated in the ustedes form, mandar, to send, mandan. Se mandan, send each other muchos textos. So when you answer this, you're actually going to answer for mis amigos y yo. You're going to put it in the nosotros form because you're going to say either yes, probably yes. I know that my friends and I text each other a lot. We text each other a lot. So you're going to put the verb in the nosotros form. So mandar becomes mandamos, and you're going to use that reflexive pronoun nos out before the verb. Nos mandamos muchos textos. If you and your friends don't send each other a lot of texts, totally fine. You can invent that. You would say, mis amigos y yo no nos mandamos muchos textos. We don't send each other many texts. Okay? So the first two are both asking about tú y tus amigos, you and your friends. So you're going to answer those both, the first two questions, in the nosotros form. However, the third question, tus padres se abrazan mucho. This question is asking about your parents. Do they abrazan mucho? Do they hug each other a lot? So for the third question, you're going to actually leave it for ellos. Se abrazan. Abrazar, to hug. Conjugate it for ellos. Se abrazan mucho. Either sí or no. You can say yes or no. Okay. And then the next question, ¿tú y tus hermanos se llevan bien? Do you and your siblings get along well? So the verb is llevarse bien, to get along. This one is also asking about you and your siblings. So when you answer it, you're going to put it in the nosotros form. Nosotros nos llevamos bien, either sí or no. Llevarse. So you're going to put that llevar in the nosotros form. And then the last question, tú y tu novio or novia se escuchan con paciencia? Do you and your boyfriend, girlfriend, if you're married, husband, wife, if you're single, you have the choice. You can either make up an answer or just say, I'm single. But this is asking if you listen to each other. So listen, escucharse, con paciencia, with patience. So this one's also going to be answered in the nosotros form. Mi esposo y yo nos escuchamos con paciencia. La mayoría del tiempo, most of the time. So answer that last one in the nosotros form. Okay, and there you have it. That's the first part of this, is watching me give the instruction. Now it's up to you. You're going to hit the big green plus sign down below this video, and I'll write the questions over to the side. Hit the big green plus sign for your reply. Do make sure that you first of all, please don't use a translator. You shouldn't need one. Everything that's always in these Flipgrid videos comes directly out of your textbook. And I do a pretty good job, I think I do a pretty good job of explaining how to answer in the video. So please, whatever you do, don't just grab the questions, put them into Translate and answer. You're not learning anything by doing that, I don't think. But anyway, I'll be quiet now. Happy flipping, my friends. Adios.